Hi, I'm Brady Horton from Orthogonal. We are here at the Boston Convention Center for the LSX World Congress. You can't make it to every conference, and even if you do, you can't talk to every interesting person at every conference. So what we're trying to do is curate a set of interviews with some of the most interesting people at these conferences to talk to them about what they're seeing in the industry and pack a lot of good insights in for you in 5 to 7 minutes or so. So we're here with Tracy MacNeal from Materna Medical. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here, see that. So tell us first about Materna.
So Materna Medical seeks to empower women to protect and restore their pelvic health. We have one product on the market called Milli. You can find it at hellomilli.com. And it is an expanding vaginal dilator that is treating a pelvic floor condition called vaginismus, rhymes with Christmas. That's how you can remember it. A lot of people haven't heard of it. Many people who have it have never heard of it, but it's where the pelvic floor becomes so tight that sex is painful or impossible, which affects millions of women in the United States every year. Many of them suffer for years, and yet it is treatable. We've just published clinical data. Most women recover within 90 days. No need to suffer with this. Our second product is just finished this big pivotal study called Ellora, and we filed with FDA. It is to prevent pelvic floor injury during childbirth. Yes.
How do you do that?
Also an expanding dilator. So if you think about if you were going to go for a run, you'd probably stretch your hamstrings. But imagine trying to stretch your hamstrings 3x in a minute.
Right.
That's what a baby's head does to the pelvic floor. So as the baby comes through, it stretches those muscles about 3x in about a minute. And what our device does instead of that is it goes in when mom's in active labor, and it's instead of the baby's head not listening to mom's body, this device is actually collecting data on the forces in her pelvic floor, and it won't expand until her tissue relaxes. And so it maintains, if you think about stretching your hamstrings slowly, it maintains the behavior of the muscle in its elastic form. So it takes about an hour, and it goes a millimeter at a time, and then it collapses and comes out. But then when the baby enters the birth canal, the idea is that mom can get the baby out without pushing against her own pelvic floor.
Got it. How did you end up in this space? Is this when you were 6, you knew that you were going to work in
No,
pelvic?
I'm not the founder of Materna. I was minding my own business when they called. The board was looking for the new CEO, and I took over from the founder. And I'd never heard of any of these things. But when I saw the size of the market and the fact that we're the first mover, it felt like the right thing to do.
And what did you do before Materna?
I was the president of diagnostics and digital at Zymedica, which is a medical design development company. And before that, I worked for a family office. And before that, I worked in orthopedics. So I've been working in healthcare technology my whole career.
Very good. So let's talk to you a little bit about some of the digital play going on at Materna Medical. You have a digital tracking display. What is that, and why do you have it?
Yeah, so the standard of care for women with this overly tight pelvic floor condition, vaginismus, is essentially a set of dildos that start small and go large. And I did not think I would do this with my career, but that's what's happened. And when I saw the standard, they're called static dilators or sequential dilators, and they're really scary to women. And they're also a sort of an 1800s era technology, Victorian era technology, like jam this size in and then jam the next size in like that. So Milli goes in once and it expands inside the anatomy, and it goes again 1 millimeter at a time at the patient's control. So it's helpful. So the digital display could actually, so Milli could be linked to an app. We're thinking about that in the future, but that would be software as a medical device. So there's a whole strategy there that we have not taken on yet. Right now, our main challenge with Milli is that we're trying to explain what the technology, right now, what we're trying to do is just help people understand what the condition even is and that it's treatable.
Right.
The display helps people understand very incremental changes so they don't get stuck. Typically on the old 1800s era technology, they would get stuck at one size. And then there's a big jump of 8 millimeters to the next size. And so that incremental readout is helpful for them.
Got it. So it's a software-defined therapeutic and a display of that information for you.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it. How do you work on, this is actually very interesting, but how do you work on user interface and human factors issues, both, I guess I'd ask for digital, but also for the physical stuff. And
Yeah,
this is a unique, not unique, but it's an unusual problem area, a distinct one.
it's a very unusual. I've never worked on anything this novel in my career. So for Ellora, the birth device, there was a lot of, we've gone through 3 phases, 4, 5. If we start with first in human and then pilot and then 3 phases of pivotal, we've had a lot of experience with hundreds of patients in the field and thousands of healthcare practitioners give us feedback on it. And a lot of that was around the software. What do we want to have the safety features do? So originally, if there's this feature at the end of the device that's called the baby bumper, and technically called the distal release, but most people call it the baby bumper, so that if the baby is descending, the device does something. What do you want the device to do? Originally, we had the device collapse and come out because that's what we thought was the right thing to do. But what we learned is that most of the time it's just a contraction. Like 99% of the time it's just a contraction. And so in working with our healthcare practitioners in the field, what they told us is they just wanted it to do a little visual alert. They didn't want the device to do anything. Yeah.
Are your user center people sitting in on deliveries watching this?
We are not invited to people's sacred
Okay.
moments. It's probably the hardest thing about the study is we never get to talk to our patients. We haven't because it's a totally blinded study, but I'm very excited when we hit the market next year that we'll finally get to talk to our patients and be more involved in understanding what they really want.
So how are you looking at various digital solutions to, let's talk about, close health equity gaps?
Oh. This probably won't make the interview, but really the health equity gaps are around payment. I don't know that digital is going to solve it. I do think in terms of where we see the digital roadmap for our products, I'd love to see an app for Milli. I'd love to see, we have an app for tracking and reminders and things like that, but it could be nice to have them connected. For Ellora, I'd love to see the Bluetooth able to put the signal of what's going on for that patient at the nurse's station. Everything else that's going on for mom is at the nurse's station, fetal monitors and all those things. So it'd be lovely for them to be able to see what Ellora is doing.
Right. So
And
basically taking that data stream and embedding it into all the real time.
Having it talk to. Yeah. And I think hospitals would like that too, because what's going on with that curve can tell them a lot about what was going on for mom. And since it's such an exciting time in a woman's life, and we use exciting it can be scary too.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're a fighter pilot, this is probably the most dangerous thing most women will do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've been the co-pilot a couple of times. So
I bet.
but it's not the same thing as being the
Co-pilots are
pilot.
important. Very
Yeah,
important.
it is not the same thing as being pilot. And what about, when you're talking about evidence, what can you do differently in terms of building evidence, defining the evidence you want with digital as opposed to how you would have done it 15 years ago, maybe?
Where I think things are getting really exciting with the data that we're developing. So we're the first company in the world to actually record the forces on the pelvic floor during labor and delivery.
Mm.
And we collect those curves on every patient. And so there's an opportunity to have that become a predictive algorithm. And there are a lot of folks that want our data. Many academic institutions have been modeling this for decades. And here we come along and we've got a device that can actually measure it. So there's that piece. And then honestly, when I think about where digital technology and AI in particular will help our company, is really in clinical education and having a platform for people to talk to. A lot of people have a lot of questions about this product, like they've never seen anything like it. Moms, dads, grandmas, doctors, nurses, everybody's got a lot of questions. And I think that some of the things that AI can do now is going to really help us get the word out in a much more cost-effective way.
Got it. Is telemedicine a part of that picture or remote?
I think that Milli lends herself very well to telemedicine. If there's something I'm most proud of with what we've done with Milli is that we did the first what's called self-selection study. So before Milli, you needed a prescription to get dilators. And we showed that if you give patients the information that they need, they can tell for themselves what they have. It reminds me a little bit of when yeast infection medication went over the counter in the 1990s, right before they had to go to the doctor. women know what's going on. You give them the right information, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so we've taken that barrier down. And so I think that, remind me what your question was. I lost my
Telemedicine.
Telemedicine. So within that construct, if women can get Milli for themselves, they can self-diagnose, they can get Milli for themselves. I do think there's a place for doctors and physical therapists, coaches to have support with telemedicine so that women can get the tips and tricks to make faster, better progress.
Very good. I also know you're engaged a lot with moving our industry forward as a whole. You could fill us in a little bit on that. And what's your plug for people? If you're in MedTech, what should we be getting out and doing beyond just our company?
Oh, I love that question. So I'm a big community person. I think healthcare is way too complicated to try to figure out yourself. So I've been really active with AdvaMed for many years. I sit on the board and the executive committee, and I run the Women's Health Equity Initiative for the medical device industry. And that's looking at getting more women into clinical trials and evening out the payments. So right now, a lot of women's procedures get reimbursed at a lower rate than the equivalent in men's procedures, and helping bring those things to CMS's attention. Because what that does is make it easier for investors to invest in good technology.
So if you're a CEO at LSX, let's say from an earlier stage company, and you're worried every day about your stuff, how can you get value for yourself by getting involved in these larger things? What's in it for you?
Oh, it doesn't cost much, especially for startups. It's like hundreds of dollars to get involved. And then it's low cost with zero cost development for your team. You can put them on the regulatory working groups. And then you also have access to lobbying. Bernhardt and I do lobbying together in June every year.
That's our CEO.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plug for Orthogonal. And because we're working on all those issues, you get to actually talk to lawmakers and find out these issues that are affecting you, and you can have a much bigger impact on the industry than you'd ever imagine.
All right, great. Thanks a lot for coming out, and have a great conference.
Thank you.
I have a